from my live off the GoPro, so I came back just in case there were any questions. And the last thing I was talking about was learning how to listen. I worked for the state, and in the capacity that I was working in, I had to improve my communicative skills. There was no other way around it. My job, my job required that I had, oh, thank you so much. I had to, oh, I understand. Oh, really? Okay, so you still have that going on, right? Yeah, I remember that. You had something going on right there. That's all. Well, thanks for stopping by. So, in the job that I had for the state, there was no other way around it. You had to, Sunflower, you had to be somewhat good at communicating. It was helpful. Not everybody was so good at communicating. However, the environment was dangerous. And having people around that were good at communicating helped you become safer in that environment. Because you had to communicate with human beings. That was part of the job. And these were human beings that had a difficult time in society. And so anything to help out my ability to communicate, and that's why I got involved with that men's group. That men's group was awesome. It taught me how to listen. Hey, what's up, Random? It taught me how to listen. See, the way it was set up, it was you and another person, or you in a group, and when somebody was speaking, thank you for subbing, Random. If somebody were speaking in that group, and this was all through Zoom, if someone was speaking, and the reason why I was in Zoom is because everybody in that group lived in a different location in the country. You're on screen, and you had to make sure that you were focused on the person who was speaking. It's not like you can listen to music or anything else and you could be doing something else. No, you had to be. And as the person is speaking, you had to, hey, Brandon, yeah, I don't know what happened. Oh, I'm on TV? Oh, hi, Mom. As the person is speaking, we were not supposed to provide any kind of validation through, shaking your head or saying wow or anything. Hey, Mulato, how are you, man? Hey, I went by your area, man. I drove through. I was on 41 and 94. 41 and 94. I was up around your way. I was up in Milwaukee. I was driving by. I came from the West Coast. So I'm in Indiana now. I'm in Gary, Indiana. And so, which is a typical thing when people communicate, right? When you're talking to someone, even what I just did by going right, that's typical. in a communication process between people. You know, somebody will nod in agreement or shake their head to say, wow, that's terrible. But you weren't supposed to do that in this group. In this group, you're supposed to just listen. And if you did want to interject a question, the question had to be phrased a particular way. You didn't want to change the direction of where that person was going, because that person was supposed to be going internally into previous events and how those previous events made them feel. So, hi again, random. that was not easy for me. That was difficult to sit there, and of course you had your turn as well. So you would, a question would be posed, and you speak on what that question was about. And again, everybody's locked in on you and what you're saying. And if they had to interject, and there would be questions, the questions would have to be asked later on. That's part of the process. They would have to ask questions. But they had to be structured a certain way, because you didn't want to interfere with the process of that person maybe reliving certain things and connecting with how you felt at the time. And yeah, I'm back, Homestead. I don't know what happened with the GoPro. It just disconnected. So, I don't know. So that was difficult for me. It was difficult to learn how to do that. But it helped. It helped a lot. It helped. It's not a tactic that can just be, or at least I don't think so. It's not a tactic that could just be used throughout the course of a typical conversation between people. But there are elements of that process that did help when it came to listening on occasion, because the average person doesn't communicate that way. They wonder, especially, okay, random, thank you for showing up. Thank you. When someone is communicating, especially on the phone, I mean, unless you're face to face, bye, random. Unless you're face to face and you're talking to someone, you're wondering if they're listening to you or not. I mean, if you're on the phone, you can't see them, but you're gonna wonder if they're paying attention to what you're saying or not. And you'll constantly, or often enough, you'll ask, hey, are you listening? So that particular method is difficult to use unless the person you're speaking to had participated in the group and understand what you're doing. Understand you're just being quiet and letting the person talk. It still helped in the listening process, because you're not supposed to use your bias when asking questions. You're not supposed to use your bias, your own life circumstance, or whatever the case is. That's the tough part, the questioning. The questioning without doing that. Questioning without allowing your own personal bias to lead into something other than what the purpose was. That's the best way I can explain it. Oh, okay. Oh, what the heck? I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I'm experimenting with something. That's not what I want to ask. Well, how do I? Do you guys see that question on the screen, guys? Good question, Brandon. Good question. Yeah, I didn't want to ask that question, but I'm experimenting because that popped up. That popped up as something that I can use. Why am I holding this? I don't need this. Let me shut it off. The mic is for the GoPro. I'm over here holding the mic. Yeah. So it was just some random question that YouTube came up with. Funny, here's my transmitter mic, right? Sometimes when I'm holding it, the AI on the internal camera say put down the phone. I'm not holding the phone. It does that with this too, with my gum. Sometimes I pull out some gum and it sees the pack in my hand and it'll tell me to put down the phone. It did that with something I was drinking too. Put down the phone. Yeah, it's a random question. I don't even. And is it blocking my face, my head, or something? Because it looks like it's right where my hat is. Yeah, put down your phone. You've heard it, right? When I'm doing my. If I'm driving and I grab this drink, put down your phone. Shut up. I'm not holding my phone. Yeah. Oh, it is over my head? I don't even know how to get rid of it. So that's my new decal, I guess. Ice and milk, okay. Yeah, that AI is bugged out. That's the AI on the camera, on the internal camera, the camera facing in. Put down your phone. Shut up. So that interpersonal communication and, oh, I'm sorry, Brandon. So, right, okay, let me just show you. I don't know if it'll be backwards over here or not. Yeah, it is. It's backwards. Let me do it vertical. I'll do it vertical so you can see. Okay, here it is. It's backwards. So I've got another 5 hours and 5 minutes for me to go off duty, or I could stay on duty for 30 minutes, but I can't be driving for 30 minutes so that this can reset to 8 hours. So every 8 hours, I'm supposed to stop driving for 30 minutes minimum so that I won't go into violation. And over here, nothing personal. I just like using that finger. That's how many hours I have left to drive, which is 2 hours and 25 minutes. This is how many total hours I have for the week. I'm supposed to have 70 hours. I'm down to 4 hours and 9 minutes. And this is my 14-hour clock, and I've got 6 hours and 53 minutes left on my 14-hour clock. But it doesn't matter because I only have 2 hours and 25 minutes to drive. So even though I have 6 hours, more than 6 hours left on my 14-hour clock, I have only 2 hours and 25 minutes left on my driving hour clock. I hope that wasn't confusing. Anyway, I have to deliver tomorrow at 5:30 in the afternoon, and I'm 565 miles away. from my destination. Let me show you. Butter. 565 miles away. Butter. Yeah, right, Homestead. I should make that my next T-shirt. Put down your phone. Yeah, these people. Dudley Dawson, a trucking song, you mentioned talking little white pills. Back in the day, they didn't have that. No. Well, when I started, we didn't have electronic logs like I showed you. We didn't have electronic logs. We had paper logs. And those little white pills were stimulants. Stimulants to keep you up, because truck drivers that did over the road, they used to have more than one book. You don't want to get caught with more than one book, but they used to know where to hide it so that the officer wouldn't find it. And they used to run beyond the hours that you were supposed to. We didn't have, it was a 16-hour day. A 16-hour day. And if I remember correctly, you can drive all 16 or something to that effect. I don't remember. Yeah, we didn't have all these 14-hour, 11-hour, 8 hours, 70 hours. We didn't have all that. Actually, we had the 70-hour. We had the 70-hour, but I don't remember. I don't remember exactly what it was when I started. I do know that we didn't have that. That 34-hour reset. We didn't have the 34-hour reset. Oh, it went away on your end, not mine. Do I still have that on my hat? How do I even? This is bonkers. Oh, after I tapped it, it came back? Ridiculous. How do I? I don't know what that meant. Let me see. No. What's that? Start a poll, start a question. It's not letting me start a question. Maybe because I already have a question. Wesley. Answer in chat? Really? Yeah, I don't know how to get rid of that damn thing now. There are other things I can do. Green screen? What's that? Oh, nice! I could do green screen now. Look at this. That's me, y'alls. Whip it out Wednesday. No, Brandon, I'm glad you came out looking like a sausage. That was hot. That was actually, I don't know, like rated R, coming out like that. Toothpick Ricky, that's who that is. What's he gonna pick? He ain't got many teeth left. But he's getting paid. Wow, look at that. I didn't know I could do that. I'm learning stuff over here. What's this? What happens when what I do? Is this something I wasn't supposed to? Damn! He could use a... I'm relit. I'm relit, y'all. I'm lit. I just shut it off. He can use a spoon to pick his teeth. Yo, that's crazy. Can I move this? Oh, I figured out how to get rid of the Q&A. Okay, cool. All I had to do was keep my finger on it and drag it down, because a prompt pops up. Yo, Homestead, did you read what Brandon said? He could use a spoon to pick his teeth? Yo, butter. Today, I went to get some breakfast at Denny's up near Milwaukee. And I asked for English muffins, well toasted or dark, with extra butter. Butter! They looked out for your boy. They put that butter. Yeah, that was good. That was good. Butter. Check out my man though. He can use a spoon to pick his teeth. That is it. That's my guy though. That's me right there. Whip it out Wednesday. I could just look it up, y'all. I don't understand why I'm struggling. I guess I'm not so proficient at using technology. It's kind of silly. Oh, Naf Naf. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That's the name of the restaurant. Naf Naf. Check it out. Right here. Oh, you can't. I gotta take the. I don't even know how to do that now. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Where? Okay. I took the green screen off so I could show you the restaurant. Right over here. I know it's backwards, but Naf Naf. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That's the Middle Eastern restaurant they got going on out here. I like Middle Eastern food. Let me see what else I got. Yeah, this is pretty good. Can I change the size on this? Yeah, but you can't see the most important part. You can't see the most important part of that picture, so let's scroll. See what happens if I put this. Oh, there he is. There's Solomon. That's Solomon. That's King Solomon. And that's the temple right there. King Solomon and the temple. That's the icon that you see. I'm doing my thing. Oh, the kids are getting out? Okay. Stay fresh. Keep it profitable. Okay, Homestead? Sunflower, you're back. Hey. Oh, you suffer from depression? I'm familiar. I have loved ones that suffer from depression. Yeah. And clinical depression at that. So that's the type of depression that just pops up, and there are no external triggers, or actually there are no internal triggers either, other than biological triggers. Oh, you have to put on a happy face? Listen, someone very near and dear to me suffers from clinical depression. It's horrible. I didn't understand what was going on. It had to be explained to me by a professional. You see, when someone has clinical depression, Real, what's up, my brother? When someone suffers clinical depression, in a fraction of a second, they can go from happy to wanting to take themselves out. And you sit there. Now, if you're asking certain questions, they know right away that you don't know what they're going through. If you're asking what made them sad, they know. Daniel, yeah, I don't know what happened, Daniel. I was on the what do you call that thing? The GoPro, but it disconnected. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I didn't even bother to ask, but I hope you guys can hear me okay. Okay, so real, that's, can you see my hat? That's what's on my hat, okay? That's the icon for my channel. This right here, this is King Solomon, and this is the temple. Hence the name of my channel, the Solomon Project. Why did I pick Solomon? He was the richest man. Actually, Musa Mansa was the richest man from the Empire of Mali, right? But I kept it biblical. I kept it Solomon. I kept the temple. And that's why I have that. Some might say I'm not a good Christian. But that's all good. My mother was, and mulatto, and I respect that. So, in honor of my mother, I kept it biblical. Didn't he control what's with rings in the non-canon version? In the non-canon version? That's a good question. With rings? I'm not familiar with that part. Controlling with rings? Now you made me curious. Now you made me want to investigate. Thank you, Real Odds. Now you made me want to investigate. Going back to a depression, yeah, so with the clinical depression, if you're asking somebody, was it something that you heard or thought about, they know right away you have no idea what clinical depression is all about. It's biochemical. Well, that depends, Sunflower. Because the loved one that I mentioned, they definitely need intervention, because they were talking about going out, taking themselves out. Sometimes they would call me and they would tell me about the arrangements that they need to be made so that they can just take themselves out and kill. Okay? And even though in a previous job I was supposed to know how to communicate with people who and not only talk to them, but pick up on certain cues, because sometimes people will say things or do things, or say and do things that on the surface someone might dismiss as, oh well, you know, they're just talking. But no, those are actual cues that they're making preparations to take themselves out, and you got to be on point with that. Seal Solomon conferred on him the ability to command the supernatural and to speak with animals. He has a supernatural seal ring, allegedly. Oh, really? Oh man. Okay, so sounds like Solomon is becoming even more interesting than what I thought. I didn't know he had those abilities. So he's like, oh, okay, gotcha. Tell you what, he was probably using that ring to get himself some women's, because that dude was laying it down with wives and concubines. That dude was non-stop. Oh, you tried to sleep, but you couldn't sleep, Sunflower? That could be anxiety. Oh yeah, I did skip Brandon. I went through a phase, I think when I was 16. Was I 16? Yeah, sometime around there, 16, 17. Well, that phase lasted for like a few years. I decided to read the Bible from the first to the last page. Read it. Not listen to what was being told in church. Oh, okay. I wanted to read myself. I wanted to know what was going on, because there were some things at that time. My family and I lived in a Jewish synagogue. My father was the maintenance of the synagogue. So I decided, listen, I'm just going to read the thing from front to back. I'm done with these priests that are doing stuff that don't make any sense, these pastors that are doing stuff that don't make any sense. And as I was reading, I'm looking at these rabbis that are doing stuff that don't make any sense, right? So as I'm reading, of course, exactly, real. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to read it myself, so I read it myself, and I'm going through creation and all these things. And of course, I'm in school. I take science classes. Of course, it's going to bump heads with what I'm learning in science, the creation narrative. However, I asked myself, all right, with regards to creation, I asked myself, so what if I was to be transported 5,000 years in the past, or 6,000 years in the past, whatever it is, and I came across human beings, and let's just say for the sake of this conversation, we're able to speak the same language. And I get transported into the past, into their time, and I have a bank card, I have a cell phone. How do I explain that? How do I explain what a cell phone is to these people? Okay? 6,000 years ago. Assuming, of course, that they've never experienced that type of technology. Because I do know that, yeah, there's questions about whether or not there was even more technology back then than there was now. I understand that, but let's just say we were not able to confirm that, and when I go back in time, they really don't have that technology. Never seen that technology. I got 98% battery power on my phone. I'm in the past 6,000 years ago, and they're looking at this thing. Exactly, they would call me a witch or a warlock. Yeah. So how would I do I get technical? Do I break it down technically? This is a battery, this is composed of this, that material. The outer coating of the battery is made out of this material. The components inside this is a motherboard, and this, that, the third, the connections, and that's. How do I explain that? Are they going to understand anything I'm saying? They're not. Maybe to prevent from being burned at the stake or killed because they think I'm a warlock or something. Maybe I would have to explain what this technology is in terms that maybe they could understand. So how would I go about doing that? I mean, after all, yeah, God gave us free will, but he didn't plug in all the answers, right? So we're left to explore and learn as we go. So here I am taking a time machine, going back in time and trying to explain this gadget I got, this cell phone, this computer in a pocket. This is a computer in a pocket. How do I explain that? So that they can understand. So okay, so creation, however they explain it, however they understand it, I'm not gonna bump heads with them about it. Okay? Big Bang Theory. And by the way, lately the Big Bang Theory had been put into some serious question, to the point where now scientists are saying there was no Big Bang. This is what was taught in school as I was growing up, right? Big Bang Theory, separations of celestial bodies and all this other good stuff, right? Yeah. The expansion of the universe, how it continues to expand. All that good stuff. Right? Right, real? I'm traveling back in time, y'all. So let's get past that. Let's get past the creation, right? Let's get past the serpent, Adam and Eve, and all that stuff. The serpent can, of course, be a representation of something. Fine, whatever. But now we get into Deuteronomy, Leviticus, stuff like that. We got laws coming down. All right. I'm a good Christian and you're not. I'm a good Jew and you're not. I'm a good Muslim and you're not. And how are they gauging how good you are as all these things or not? Well, how you follow the laws. How you follow the laws? Yeah, okay, cool. Let's go. Let's go. So we got 600 and some odd laws that were passed, that Moses passed to his people after they got out of Egypt. And could have been real. It could have been. It could have been copy paste too, right? From another civilization. Could have been copy paste from the Babylonians, from the Egyptians. Could have been copy paste. Some of that stuff. Fine. Let's roll. Let's roll with these laws then, right? 600 some odd laws that will distinguish this group of people from others. It's funny because there are a lot of Christians that don't understand that the Ten Commandments are the first 10 laws of this series of 600 and some odd laws. Maybe they've been watching too many movies or something, but that's the deal. Now, you got those laws, but you also have interpretations in accordance to those laws. They might seem cut and dry, but that's not the case. Okay, so men are not supposed to be sleeping with their wives when they're going through their menstrual cycle. They're supposed to be away. They're supposed to be sleeping in separate beds for like 2 weeks from the start of their menstrual cycle, something like that. I don't remember the specifics, but and if you did, that means you unclean. If you're doing the horizontal mambo with your wife and she suddenly starts her menstrual cycle as you're doing the mambo, You've just become unclean, and you got to go through this whole process to become clean, right? You can only be a priest if you're a descendant of Aaron. So I'm looking at all these rabbis at the synagogue. I'm like, yo, are you a descendant of Aaron? I would ask them. They're like, yo, what you mean, bro? Chill out. I'm ruffling feathers now with my questions. I'm in a Roman Catholic Church youth group meeting. I'm not a member of that church, but I was invited and I went. Yeah, you have to separate. Well, that's what the Hasidic Jews do. They separate themselves with a sheet and they poke through that hole in the sheet. Yeah, they gotta line it up. Hole to hole. They gotta line it up. Yeah, Hasidic Jews do that. Members of the Lubavitcher. Yeah, I got exposed to those people too. I lived in New York City. I grew up in New York City, so I had exchanges with some of them. And right, so clean and unclean, clean things, unclean things. Some of the foods on that list were classified as clean and unclean. We're not supposed to be eating shellfish. Not supposed to be eating shrimp, crab, lobster, stuff like that. Crustaceans, we're not supposed to be eating that. They're unclean. You're supposed to eat animals that have the split hoof and chew the cud. Anything outside of that is not clean. Horse is not clean. Bear is not clean. Snake is not clean. Certain birds were clean. Certain birds were unclean. Vultures are unclean. Birds of prey are unclean. Correct, certain bugs. Yeah, certain bugs were clean, certain bugs weren't. So they were bugging out. Yeah, they were eating bugs too. So there were bugs you can eat, and bugs you couldn't eat, per the law. Now, again, going back to interpretation of the law. Are there exceptions? Of course there are exceptions. And guess who was assassinated for bringing up exceptions? Jesus. So when Jesus came through, and the power structure at the time when he came through were the Pharisees and the Sadducees, right? They were the powers that were from his own people. They ran the show, and they didn't like Jesus because he was exposing the nonsense. They didn't like that. One example I love bringing up, and I might have gone off into a tangent, but one example I love to choose is the example where everybody's all ready to stone this adulteress because the punishment for adultery was to be stoned to death. That's the law. Jesus shows up at the scene. People got stones in their hands. They're ready to take this lady out. They're ready to stone her. Judgment has been made. The Pharisees said, yeah, hey, that's the law. Everybody grab your stones. Get ready. Jesus did mention, and I think it was in Matthew, that he did not come to annul nor to change the law. He was clear about that. I did not come to annul nor to change the law. The law is still in place, but all right, cool. Cool. So Pharisees like, what you gonna do now, Jesus? You gonna grab a stone and take her out too with us? Because that's what the law said. Yeah, exactly. And he said, that's what the law says. Jesus, what you gonna do? Huh? Are you gonna go against the law? Because as far as we're concerned, dude, you're next. Because you're a lawbreaker. All right, no, cool. Hey, I'm not saying that we don't apply the law, but I am going to say this. If you ain't sinned, if you ain't got no sin, go ahead. Be the first to throw that stone. Go ahead. If you ain't never sinned, if you ain't sinned, or if you ain't got no sin that should be checked out, go ahead. Throw the stone. Not one stone was thrown. Oh, why not? Why not? Did he highlight hypocrisy? Did he? I'll tell you right now, that Pharisee was mad. He was angry. Basically, Jesus said, yo, y'all are abusing the law. And another thing that shows is that when it comes to punishment, people come out the woodwork. Yeah, they want to see that. They want to see people get punished. But they don't look at themselves. When it's a group thing, group punishment, or a group to watch somebody get punishment, ooh, they're right there. They're right there and they're ready for it. Jesus said, yo, chill, y'all. I'm not telling you can't. All I'm saying is, you? Really? You're okay with that? What have you been doing? Okay, no, okay. Hey. Now, one stone was thrown. Does it go on today? Of course. Our legal system? It's just like the All-Bomb lady said on a previous live. It's not justice, it's just us. So there's only justice for a certain segment, not for everybody. It hasn't changed. We have our Pharisees. We have our Pharisees today. You can find them all up and down our justice system and in our political system. You can find them all over the place. Nothing's changed. Not regarding that. Yeah, we've got these. We've got technology that we didn't have before, right? Man, I think it's phasing out. We got technology. That's. I mean, if you look back 200 years, yeah, we got stuff we didn't have back 200 years ago, right? 200 years ago, we didn't have cars, planes, commercial planes where people fly. We didn't have that. Times are different. Maybe for some things, but not how human beings exchange. That hasn't changed at all. We got just as many bootlickers today. Oh, hi family. We have just as many bootlickers today, proportionately, that we had throughout history. It's the same proportion of bootlickers. People that'll throw you under the bus just to get a crumb. Just to get a crumb. That hasn't changed. So when people say things have changed, have they really? Not when it comes to human interaction. So anything that was written in, let's say, the Bible, with regard, and that's the thing. That's one of the 3 gifts that I gave my son when he turned 16. He was terribly disappointed with me because he was probably expecting a PlayStation or an Xbox or something, and I gave him 3 books. And one of those books was the Bible. My son claims to be atheist. No worries. But I explained the importance of having a Bible and reading it, because it speaks about human interaction thousands of years ago, and you can contrast and compare the behavior that's spoken about in Scripture to behavior today. Right? Samson and Delilah. What happened? Delilah was tasked by her community. Or was she? She was a Philistine, right? I don't remember. But if she was a Philistine, she was an operative. She was a Philistine operative. Samson was a thorn in the Philistine side. He was too strong. They couldn't mess with him. He was smashing them by himself. He was jawboning people. Okay? We got something for you, Samson. It's a common weakness among men, among heterosexual males. It's a common weakness. A woman. Samson liked Delilah. And if he was in the hood, he liked it hurt. He liked it Delilah. And Delilah, you know, she did her thing. She probably inflated his ego. That's something that wasn't specific in what I read, what I remember reading in Scripture. That she inflated his ego. That's not something that's not a specific thing that I read, that I remember reading. But I would imagine that's what happened. Hey, from the SIP, I'm back. Yeah, listen, I'm sorry, SIP. My GoPro disconnected, so I had to come back on this way. And so I would imagine that's what Delilah did. She probably gassed him. She probably, you know, inflated his ego. You can imagine Samson, you know, flexing in front of her. Yeah, that's me, baby. What's up? You want to be with me? And she said what she had to say. But she had to find out how he was so strong. Where did he get his strength from? And she would ask straight up. And Samson, maybe Samson could have been considered, in the vernacular used today, he was a simp, right? Maybe. Not necessarily a simp. But he put aside the fact that she kept asking about this question. She's a Philistine, right? I think she was a Philistine. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But she's trying to find out for her people so they could take this dude down. Does that happen today? Of course that happens today. We hear case after case about men who got involved with women whose only desire was to acquire wealth through separation after getting married. You can relate the two in that way if you want to. Well, here he is in Scripture, a case where you can make that kind of relation. That's why I gave my son the Bible. Look, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the Bible. There's a lot of killings. There's a lot of what do you call that? SA, right? You know what SA is, right? You got all that stuff. You got everything in Scripture. You got that. You've got events and how those events played out. Addiction, right? They speak of the addiction to alcohol. Yeah, magic too. They talk about the addiction and the addiction in Scripture. They talk about alcohol, right? Being a drunkard, doing dumb stuff because you're drunk. You can make that connection with any of the substances that we use today, right? Making dumb decisions under the influence of something, of some chemical substance. Yeah. And what happens? Economic destruction, right? They talk about that in scripture too. All that stuff is in scripture. If you bother to read it, you'll see it, you'll find it. And again, what happened 5,000 years ago still happens today when it comes to human interaction. You still got some low down people. You still have people that will set you up. You still have people that will stab you in the back. Absolutely, Brandon. Drugs, gambling, sex, yeah. You might be able to say Solomon himself had an addiction to sex. His dad too, David, his father, David did something absolutely horrible, unforgivable. He was not in love. He was, what do you call that? He wasn't in love with this woman. He was what do you call that? Strong attraction. Maybe obsessed? Yeah. He was obsessed with this woman to the point where he set it up so that her husband would be killed in battle. He guaranteed to put her husband, a general, in a position where he would definitely get killed so that he can take her. Say what? Yeah. It's in scripture. Does it happen today? Of course it does. Of course it does. So nothing's changed as far as humanity and their interaction with one another is concerned. That you don't believe the premise of a higher power or who the higher power is or all of that, you don't have to believe anything, but you can read and see the connection. See the connection. What do they call a person that stands for something good and fair and just, that gets killed? That happens often. They're called martyrs, aren't they? We have martyrs today. We have martyrs today. There you go, Sip. It got you through, right? A higher power got you through. Listen, some people want a simple answer, and some people don't. They're so curious. We usually call them scientists, right? They want to figure everything out. They want to know why everything is the way it is. And in some cases, sometimes they want to prove people wrong so that they can do whatever they feel like doing, so they can justify things, like social Darwinists, right? Darwin came out with his theory of natural selection, right? He theorized about evolution. Is he accurate? I don't think so. I don't think he's accurate. I have questions for Darwin. If he reincarnates and comes around with the same old theory, I got questions for him. One of the questions is, if we humans existed right alongside primates, why didn't they evolve? What happened to them? If we were supposedly primates living amongst other primates, how come we evolved and they didn't? What happened? What happened to the evolution? Because they were hunting for food just the same way we were. If we were primates, right, we would all be hunting the same way, doing all the same things, and being subjected to the conditions necessary for evolution to take place. What happened to them? How come we still have primates? And now archaeologists and other disciplines are discovering bone structures to things that have characteristics that Homo sapiens have, but they're not Homo sapiens. And they're not gorillas, and they're not other primates either. Oh, so maybe it wasn't evolution. Maybe it was the extinction of certain groups and it narrowed down the variety that exists. Could be that. It could be that. However, social Darwinism incorporated this theory because of natural selection. Yeah, world reset, that's what we need. That's right, hook it up. So they incorporated these theories to fit a social narrative, as to say, well, we're rich and you're not due to natural selection. We're rich because we're supposed to be rich, because it's in our blood. No, you're rich because you're abusing other people. But it's a way of justifying what they do to acquire and keep wealth. So if I just happen to be stronger than you and I beat the boogers out of you and take what you have and keep it, well, I'm wealthier than you now, because it's natural selection. It's justified. No, it isn't. It's not justified, but that's what they use. Isn't that cool? That's kind of cool, right? But some people need that. Some people need to be questioning things. Like, which king was it of England that separated from the Roman Catholic Church? The Roman Catholic Church. Did you realize that when I don't call it the Catholic Church, I call it the Roman Catholic? There's a reason for that. It's the Roman Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is the universal church. The Roman Catholic Church is the one that everybody knows. They're not the same. Although they both have Catholic in it, they're not the same. The Roman Catholic Church was constructed by Emperor Constantine in the year 300 something, 330 something, 60 something, I don't remember. I left before he came. But Yeah, there's a distinction between the Catholic Church and the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church is the one that everybody knows. That's the one that was created by Emperor Constantine. That's the one that combined Judaism with other practices from other religions. Yeah. And Christianity is actually a subsect of Judaism. It was created by Jews. Christianity was created by Jews. And they used to bump heads all the time. The Jews, the Christian Jews, were always bumping heads with the non-Christian Jews. See, when Jesus came into the picture, he was supposed to be this warrior that was supposed to take out the Romans. The Romans were their oppressor. And when Jesus came through, he didn't display the strength, the physical strength that many Jews were hoping for, because he was supposed to get down, fight, and destroy the Romans. Ooh, that was me by accident. Yeah. So Christianity is actually a Jewish subsect. It was created by Jews. Well, created, yeah. They decided to follow in the wisdom that Jesus brought forward. Yo, my beard looks great. I'm gonna have to start braiding my beard. So yeah, y'all, I wanted to finish off the live that I was having on the GoPro that for some reason disconnected. I don't know what the heck happened, but anyway. So I'm gonna end it here. If you were listening to me babble for all this time, for an hour and 8 minutes, if you were able to to deal with that, I appreciate your patience. I appreciate you guys. Bottom line, you guys are awesome. So I'm going to cut it here. Listen, stay fresh, keep it profitable, and thank you, Homestead. You have a good night as well. And if you guys have any questions regarding the 3 apps that I have in the description, feel free to ask how they can work for you or whatever the case is. Yeah, don't be a rich. That's right, Homestead. All right, so hey, everybody, yeah, stay fresh, keep it profitable. Don't forget, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. Okay, don't forget that. Yeah, put your phone. Peace out.